Franklin Delano Roosevelt, commonly known as by his initials FDR, was an American politician and statesman who served as the 32nd President of the United States from 1933 until his death in 1945. He was the member of the Democratic Party and is the only US President to have served more than 2 terms in office. His third and fourth terms were dominated by World War II. A member of the prominent Roosevelt family after attending university, Roosevelt began to practice law in New York City. He was elected a member of the New York State Senate from 1911 to 1913 and was then the Assistant Secretary of the Navy under President Woodrow Wilson during the World War I. Roosevelt was James M. Cox's running mate on Democratic Party's ticket in the 1920s U.S. presidential election, but Cox lost to the Republican nominee Warren G. Harding. In 1921, Roosevelt contracted a paralytic illness that permanently paralyzed his legs. Partly through the encouragement of his wife Eleanor Roosevelt, he returned to public office as governor of New York from 1929 to 1933, during which he promoted programs to combat the Great Depression besetting the U.S. in the 1932 presidential election. Roosevelt defeated Republican President Herbert Hoover in a landslide. During his first 100 days as president, Roosevelt spearheaded unprecedented federal legislation and directed the federal government during most of the Great Depression, implementing the New Deal in response to the most significant economic crisis in American history. He also built the New Deal coalition, realigning American politics into the fifth party system and defining American liberalism throughout the middle third of the 20th century. He created numerous programs to provide relief to the unemployed and farmers while seeking economic recovery with the National Recovery Administration and other programs. He also instituted major regulatory reforms related to finance, communications, and labor, and presided over the end of Prohibition. In 1936, Roosevelt won a landslide re-election with the economy having improved from 1933, but the economy relapsed into deep recession 1937 and 1938. He was unable to expand the Supreme Court in 1937. The same year, the Conservative Coalition was formed to block the implementation of the further New Deal programs and reforms. Major surviving programs and legislation implemented under Roosevelt include the Securities and Exchange Commission, the National Labor Relations Act, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and Social Security. In 1940, he ran successfully for re-election, becoming the only American president to serve for more than 2 terms. With World War II looming after the 1938, in addition to the Japanese invasion of China and the aggression of the Nazi Germany, Roosevelt gave strong diplomatic and financial support to China as well as the United Kingdom and the Soviet Union, while the US remained officially neutral. Following the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, he obtained a declaration of war on Japan the next day and on Germany and Italy a few days later. He worked closely with other national leaders in leading the Allies against the Axis powers. Roosevelt supervised the mobilization of the American economy to support the war effort and implemented a Europe-first strategy. He also initiated the development of world's first atomic bomb and worked with the other Allied leaders to lay the groundwork for the United Nations and other post-war institutions. Roosevelt won re-election in 1944 but died in 1945 after his physical health seriously and steadily declined during the war years. Since then, several of his actions have come under substantial criticism, including his ordering of the internment of the Japanese Americans in the concentration camps. Nonetheless, historical rankings consistently place him as one of the greatest American presidents.